Welcome back to Regional Resources. I'm your host, Tara Jones, along with my co-host, Ms. Cheryl Sims. Today's guest is Ms. Mable Fuller, author of the book entitled, You Can Destroy Your Defiant Giant. Mable, right before the break, you shared with us your own personal defiant giant, which was domestic violence.
Yes, ma'am.
Unfortunately, many people may have experienced some form of domestic violence, whether it be physical abuse or verbal abuse or emotional abuse.
That's right.
In the midst of your fear, because when you're in that situation, it's very fearful.
Right.
So what advice would you offer to someone who's trying to take those first steps, who's trying to gain back control of their life?
The first step that I would say they would take will be praying, because that's the only thing that I'm here today. Every single person believes in something, higher than themselves, because we are not here in this world by ourselves. There is always a higher power. And in order for anyone to destroy something that has destroyed them to the core, for example, verbal abuse,
Right.
which is the biggest thing that anyone can ever go through, because words are powerful.
Exactly.
Words create an environment. Words create environment of hate, environment of confusion. And because of that,
Yes.
you internalize all that pain inside of you, and it will need a higher power, because it is your spirit that's being affected. The most important part of every single human being is not your body, is not your soul, it is your spirit. And in order to defeat something that is totally encroaching on you, your spirit has got to be strong. And in this case, for your spirit to be strong, you have to tap back into the Spirit of God. That's what I did.
Well, that was very important. You also said that words are powerful. An example of that would be verbal abuse.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times there's the misconception out there that people are victims because they're so insecure. They have no self-confidence. But that wasn't the case for you, was it?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. That was not the case for me. As a matter of fact, the opposite is true. People think that because you're a victim, you have low self-confidence, you have low self-esteem. But in actuality, it is the abuser who has low self-esteem, who has low confidence, because what they're doing is they're controlling you in areas that they know they can't control.
Exactly.
So therefore, they are using what they know it's the most powerful thing, and that is either words or their hands or their cans or knives to put that person down so they can control them. But in actuality, I am a person who knows who I am. I have always known that I am somebody special. I was treated special, and therefore I have always considered myself the favorite child of God. And therefore this kind of thing, I didn't even think it would happen to me. But what I'm saying is, it's not that I had self-confidence. It's not that people that are victims have low self-confidence. It's not the case. It's the other way around. And I want the world to know that, all these stereotypes, that they have stereotyped women for a long time, it is not really true. What about a child? Why would somebody, abuse a child?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And speaking of abuse towards the children, that tends to start, what you spoke of both in your book and in your self-help video, is that generational curse.
Yes, ma'am.
The repeat of offense. Can you give us some examples of that?
Yes, ma'am. For example, me having kids in the situation that were, abusive, for example. So the kids are viewing what's happening in the home. And what you see is what you become. So when a child is looking at the parents fighting each other, they think that's normal. So when they grow up, that's exactly what they will do. So when they get married, they will abuse their wives, they will abuse their children, and it becomes a generational curse. It repeats from generation to generation. And domestic violence is not the only generational curse that affects family. It just happened to be the one that affected me. But there are generational curses, for example, drugs, smoking, prostitution, rape, molestation, suicide, anxiety, depression. You know, these kind of generational curses, someone started, an aunt or a grandmother or a grandfather started a long time ago. It's a learned behavior. It perpetuates from generation to generation. And the enemy wants to do that so that the family will be absolute. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. And you brought out another good point too, because a lot of times women think when they're in that situation that they need to stay there because they're married, but you were saying it's the opposite. That's the main reason why you should leave.
Absolutely. That's the very reason why you should pick up your bags and leave right then and right now.
To end those generational
so
curses.
That the children will be saved, so that God will start another generation, will start a remnant. There is such a thing as remnant, meaning whatever happened in the past, there is a stopping point where God starts something new. And He can only start something new when you have protected your children in a different environment. So it won't move on.
Perfect. Now she has a clip that we'd like to show in part of her self-help video that gives more examples of generational curses, and we're going to take a look at that right now.
What do I do now? And God said to me, this is what you do. You pray. You pray for your husband. Now, He said to me, now, I said, okay, how in the world did the enemy even had a chance to get into my husband? You know, what is this? What is this? You know, there is a window. He said, there is a window somewhere. This is what happened in his childhood. This is what happened in the child. Now, here we are talking about generational curses. Hello? Generational curses, it happened way in his heart, in his childhood. Now, that is the generational curse. Now, he doesn't realize this, but and many people don't realize this, but in every single family, there is generational curse. Suicide attempts, depression, you know, diabetes, heart attacks, domestic violence, not finishing anything, alcoholism, drugs. You know, you trace it way back. The grandmother started, and this is chapter 4. This is in chapter 4 I'm talking about. Way back. And somebody started it, the grandma, great-grandma.
Wow, this is very valuable information. And speaking of generational curses, now we know the importance of knowing your own family tree, as well as knowing the history of your mate's family tree. Absolutely. So you can break those generational curses. So that's very important information. Absolutely. Stay with us to hear more from Mable Fuller. You're watching Regional Resources, and we'll be right back.
Sunny skies today with brisk easterly.
To you, this is a place to hang a coat. To someone else, it's a place to teach a child a lesson he'll never forget. Preventing child abuse and neglect doesn't just mean reporting it. It means stopping it before it starts. Find out how at preventchildabuse.org or 1-800-CHILDREN. A child is helpless. You are not.
Hey, we tried all.
Don't tell me to calm down. I hate that.
Stop acting like an animal. You're in public.
I will knock you into next week.
Stop it.
No, I'm not going to stop it. That's it. We are leaving
like an
right
animal.
now. We are leaving right now. Get up. Susanna, I said leaving.